You know that feeling when your boss calls you into the office, closes the door behind you, and starts talking about how impressed everyone is with your work. Your heart starts beating a little faster, you're sitting up straighter, and then they say it. We'd like to offer you a promotion. And the room goes quiet in your head. Not because you're overwhelmed with excitement, but because somewhere deep inside, something doesn't feel right. You smile anyway. You say, thank you. You tell them you'll think about it, and then you walk back to your desk, stare at your screen, and wonder why you don't feel the way you're supposed to feel. Everyone around you is waiting for you to say yes. Your parents would be proud. Your friends would celebrate. Your LinkedIn profile would get a shiny new title. And yet, something in you is pulling in the opposite direction. Here's what nobody tells you about that feeling. It's not confusion. It's not fear. It's not imposter syndrome. That feeling is clarity. And most people spend their entire careers running away from it because they were never taught that saying no to a promotion could be the smartest financial and psychological decision of their life. My name is Leo, and I've become slightly obsessed with one question. Why do the people who seem to be doing everything right end up feeling the most stuck? It's if you've ever felt that quiet pull away from conventional success and wondered whether you were broken or brilliant, stick around. Because what I'm about to share might completely rewire how you think about ambition, money, and what it actually means to get ahead. Now, before we go any further, let me ask you something honest. When you picture a successful person, what do you see? Probably someone climbing, someone always moving up, someone who never turns down an opportunity because opportunities are rare and precious and only fools walk away from them. This is the story we've been told since we were old enough to understand what a job was. Work hard, get promoted, make more money, repeat. And on the surface, it sounds completely logical. More responsibility equals more money equals more security equals more freedom, except that's not actually how it works. And the math, when you actually sit down and do it honestly, will shock you. Here's the thing that most career advice completely ignores. Like a promotion is not just a salary increase. It's a trade. And like every trade, you're giving something up to get something. The question is whether what you're getting is actually worth what you're giving. And most people never ask that question because they're too busy being grateful for being chosen. Think about what actually happens when you accept a promotion. Your title changes, your salary goes up, usually somewhere between 10 and 20% if you're lucky. And your responsibilities, they don't just increase, they multiply. Suddenly, you're managing people who have problems. You're sitting in meetings that eat entire afternoons. You're answering emails at 11 at night because leadership means availability. You're carrying the weight of other people's performance on your shoulders. And the worst part is you're now doing less of the actual work that made you good enough to get promoted in the first place. This is what psychologists call the promotion paradox. The skills that earn you a promotion are almost never the skills required by the promotion itself. You were excellent at doing. Now you're being asked to manage doing. And that shift for a specific type of person is not a step forward. It's a slow drift away from everything that made the work meaningful. Now, I want to be very careful here because I am not saying promotions are bad. I am not saying ambition is wrong. What I am saying is that there is a specific type of person for whom saying no to a promotion is not a retreat. It is a strategy. And the world has been lying to that person their entire life by telling them their instincts are wrong. Let me tell you about the invisible trap that nobody draws on the whiteboard during career counseling sessions. It's called lifestyle inflation. and it is the silent killer of every financial plan that has ever looked good on paper. Here's how it works. You get promoted. Your salary jumps by $15,000 a year. You feel richer. And so unconsciously, you start living like someone who is richer. You upgrade your apartment because the new title deserves a nicer address. You buy a better car because you're driving to more important meetings now. You eat at slightly more expensive restaurants because your colleagues do and you don't want to seem out of place. You buy better clothes because appearance matters at this level. And within 12 months, that $15,000 raise has been completely absorbed by a lifestyle that now requires that extra $15,000 just to maintain. You're not richer, you're more expensive. And the golden handcuffs have been clicked shut so quietly that you didn't even hear them. So this is where the person who said no is doing something completely different. They're still earning what they earned before, but they're also still doing work they're genuinely good at. They're not managing the stress of people problems. They're not sacrificing evenings to prove they deserve the title. They have time. And time, as it turns out, is the only currency that cannot be printed, borrowed, or earned back once it's spent. The person who said no is using that time to build something. Maybe it's a skill that will be worth far more in 3 years than any promotion would have paid. Maybe it's a side income stream that doesn't care what their job title is. Maybe it's simply the energy at the end of the day to think clearly about where their life is actually going instead of collapsing onto the couch and scrolling through their phone because they have nothing left. That quiet pull you felt when the promotion was offered, that wasn't weakness. That was your brain doing math that your ambition didn't want to see. Here's something that will probably make you uncomfortable. The most financially successful people you will ever meet are almost never the ones with the most impressive titles. They are the ones with the most control over their time. And those two things, title and time, are almost always in direct opposition to each other. The higher you climb on someone else's ladder, the less say you have over how your hours are spent. And hours, not dollars, are the actual building blocks of wealth. Let me show you the math that your HR department will never put in the offer letter. Say you're currently making $60,000 a year. You get promoted. Your salary jumps to $72,000. That's $12,000 more per year. Sounds significant. Sounds like progress. But now let's look at what that promotion actually cost you. Your average work week goes from 45 hours to 55 hours. That's an extra 10 hours per week. Across 50 weeks, that's 500 additional hours per year that now belong to your employer. Divide that $12,000 raise by 500 hours and your promotion actually paid you $24 per hour for your extra time. Meanwhile, the average skilled freelancer in almost any industry charges between $50 and $150 per hour for the exact same expertise you just sold for $24. You didn't get a raise, you got a discount on yourself. And this is before we account for the stress tax, the decision fatigue that comes with managing people, the mental load you carry home every evening, the Sunday anxiety that starts building around 4 in the afternoon because Monday is coming, and Monday now means problems that are yours to solve. None of that shows up in the offer letter. None of that gets calculated into the compensation package, but it costs you something every single day. It costs you in sleep quality and presence with your family, in the creative energy you have left over for anything that is actually yours. Now, here is where things get really interesting. And this is the part that most people completely miss because they're so focused on the salary number that they never look at the opportunity sitting right next to it. Like when you say no to a promotion, you create a gap. And gaps for the right kind of person are where everything actually happens. Like, think about what you have when you're excellent at your current role and not carrying the weight of management. You have mastery, you have bandwidth, you have credibility without bureaucracy, and you have something that is almost impossible to put a number on, but is worth more than most people's annual salary. You have mental space. Mental space is where ideas live. It's where you notice the problem that your company has been ignoring for 3 years that you could solve on the side. It's where you develop the skill that makes you irreplaceable instead of just promotable. It's where you build the thing that eventually pays you whether you show up or not. The people who say no to promotions and use that decision strategically are not lazy. They are playing an entirely different game. While everyone else is competing for the next rung on the ladder, these people are quietly building their own ladder, and their ladder doesn't have a ceiling that someone else controls. Here is something that the comment sections of videos like this one always reveal. When people talk about the moment their financial life changed, it is almost never because of a promotion. It is because of a decision they made with time they protected. Yeah, someone learned a skill during the hours they didn't give to a management role. Someone started a small business during the evenings they didn't spend recovering from other people's problems. Someone made an investment during the mental clarity they preserved by not carrying a team's performance on their shoulders. The promotion would have paid them more money. The no paid them more life. But let's talk about the psychological shift that happens when you say no consciously, not out of fear, not out of laziness, but out of genuine strategic clarity. Because this shift is where everything changes, and it has almost nothing to do with money. When you say no to something that everyone expects you to say yes to, something remarkable happens in your brain. You stop outsourcing your definition of success. Up until that moment, success has been defined by external markers like the title, the office, the salary band, the validation of being chosen. Yes, but the moment you look at all of that and say, this is not what I'm optimizing for, you have done something that most people spend their entire lives never doing. You have decided what you actually want, and that decision, that single act of self-definition, changes how you move through every room you walk into afterward. You stop performing ambition for an audience that was never really watching anyway. You stop making career decisions based on what will look impressive and start making them based on what will actually build the life you want. You become almost overnight a completely different negotiator, not just at work, in every area of your life. Because here's the truth about people who can say no from a place of clarity rather than fear. They are the most dangerous people in any negotiation. They cannot be pressured. They cannot be flattered into bad decisions. They cannot be manipulated by the fear of missing out because they have already decided what they are and are not willing to miss. Their no is not a closed door. It is a redirected yes towards something that actually matters to them. And the world, which has spent years trying to fit them into a conventional definition of success, suddenly has no idea what to do with them. That is where the real power lives. Not in the title, not in the corner office, in the unshakable clarity of a person who knows exactly what they are building and refuses to trade it for someone else's idea of success. Now, before you walk into your boss's office tomorrow and dramatically decline every opportunity that comes your way, I need to tell you something important, because this is where most people who discover this idea completely miss the point and end up making a very expensive mistake. Saying no to a promotion is not a philosophy. It is a strategy. And like every strategy, it only works when it is connected to something. That something is a plan, a deliberate, honest, written down plan for what your no is actually making room for. Because here is the brutal truth that nobody in this conversation wants to say out loud. A no without a plan is not freedom. It is just avoidance wearing a sophisticated disguise. The person who turns down a promotion because they genuinely know what they are building with the time and energy they are protecting is playing an entirely different game than the person who turns down a promotion because change feels scary and staying comfortable feels safe. Both people said no, Ike. Only one of them is winning. So ask yourself this question right now. If you said no to that promotion, what would you say yes to instead? Not in a vague motivational poster kind of way, specifically. What skill would you build during the hours you protected? What income stream would you develop with the mental energy you preserved? What investment would you research with the clarity you maintain? If you cannot answer that question with something concrete, then your no is not a strategy yet. It is a starting point, and starting points are valuable, but they are not destinations. This is the part of the conversation that separates the people who romanticize the idea of rejecting conventional success from the people who actually build something real with that rejection. The romanticizers love the concept, they share videos about it, they feel seen by the idea, and then they go back to their desk on Monday and nothing changes because the no was never connected to a yes that required something from them. The builders are different. They are quietly uncomfortable. They're doing the work that nobody applauds yet. They are building skills in the hours between dinner and sleep. They are saving money that their promoted colleagues are spending on the lifestyle that the new title seemed to require. They are not impressive at parties, but 3 years from now, they are free in ways that the impressed people at those parties are not. Here is what that freedom actually looks like in practical terms, because freedom is one of those words that sounds beautiful and means nothing until you translate it into daily life. Freedom means your income is not entirely dependent on one person's opinion of you. It means when your company announces layoffs, your stomach does not drop through the floor because you have built something that exists outside of that building. It means when a genuinely great opportunity comes along, one that actually aligns with what you are building, you can say yes to it from a position of strength rather than desperation. It means you negotiate your salary not because you need more money to survive, but because you know exactly what you are worth and you have options that confirm it. That is the compound interest of saying no strategically. Just like the first $10,000 in savings changes your relationship with financial risk, the first real no. You say from a place of clarity changes your relationship with professional risk. Suddenly, you are not trapped. You are choosing. And choosing feels completely different from being chosen. Think about the people in your life who seem to move through their careers with a kind of ease that you cannot quite explain. They are not necessarily the smartest people in the room. They're not always the hardest workers, but there is something about them that makes opportunities seem to follow them rather than the other way around. Here's what that thing actually is. They stopped needing the opportunities, and the moment you stop needing something, your relationship with it changes entirely. You attract from abundance rather than reaching from scarcity. And people, whether they are employers or clients or collaborators, can feel that difference in every conversation. This is what the promotion trap actually steals from you, not just time, not just energy. It steals the version of you that could have existed if you had protected the space to build something of your own. It trades your potential future leverage for a present title that makes you feel like you're moving forward while actually making you more dependent on a structure you did not design and cannot control. And the saddest part is most people do not realize this until they are deep enough into the climb that turning back feels more terrifying than continuing. They are 10 years into a career that looks successful from the outside and feels hollow from the inside. They have the title, they have the salary, they have the corner office that younger colleagues admire, and they are quietly exhausted in a way they cannot explain to anyone because from the outside, everything looks like winning. You are not that person, or at least you do not have to be because you are here, asking the question that most people are too afraid to ask. What if the conventional path is not actually the fastest route to where I actually want to go? The answer for a specific kind of person is that it is not. It never was. And the sooner you trust that quiet internal signal that showed up when the promotion was offered, the sooner you can start building something that actually belongs to you. Your future self is not impressed by your title. They are grateful for your time. They are grateful for the clarity you protected. They are grateful for every strategic no that made room for the yes that actually mattered. Start building that version of yourself today. Yeah, because the world has enough people who said yes when they should have paused. What it is missing is people who had the courage to pause long enough to figure out what they were actually saying yes to. That courage starts with a single word, and that word is no.